Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen and another episode of Kiss with Kevin. I'm Kevin Coleman, Executive Director for Bellingham SeaFeast, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a shrimp and breakfast burrito. It's going to be super simple, super easy, so stay tuned and we'll show you more. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna create a wonderful, simple burrito that involves eggs, pepper, onion, avocado, and our side striped shrimp that we get from Icy Fresh Seafood. One reason we like working with these is because they're easy to peel and you don't have to devein them because these type of shrimp are actually vegetarian and they live off kelp and stuff like that. So they're not bottom feeders. So you can actually just eat them like little morsels and they're the sweetest little things that you'll ever have in your life. So they go great with a lot of other dishes, but it's really good for this breakfast burrito. You take this type of two areas right here, you loop it over, and you see that? That's the shrimp. All you have to do is take this, peel the tail, and it comes out that easy. See that? That easy. You want to hold on to the shells because in this situation, a lot of these shrimp have eggs on them, and this egg is great for making stock out of and using for like butters and stuff, which we'll probably make it another time. But don't throw these away. Be sure to freeze these and utilize them for another when you want to make stock or when you want to make something else. So peeling these little guys, really easy to do. Doesn't take that long. You want to make sure they're defrosted pretty well because that allows the maximum for peeling. It's really easy once you get started. Okay, now we have our side striped shrimp peeled and ready to go. All I'm going to do is add just a little bit of salt and pepper to them, nothing too much. Mix that up a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pan sear these. And this is gonna be at a medium heat. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add a little bit of butter because you can't go wrong with butter. I'm from the South, so butter's always a good thing to use. And let this skillet heat up really well. They cook within like 3 to 5 minutes. They'll go from this kind of pinky color to more of an opaque solid color. Now, one thing that I love about the side striped shrimp is the fact they are so sweet. They have this sweetness that I've never had before, like in East Coast shrimp. They're definitely like little pieces of candy almost. And when you mix these with spices and stuff, or you're mixing them with other flavor profiles, that sweetness is just absolutely just beautiful and tastes wonderful. You can see the shrimp starting to curl. That's exactly what we want to have happen. And as you can see, they're starting to get more opaque. We still have some raw here. The nice thing about this is you can actually eat these raw in a ceviche style or just raw. They're sashimi grade style, which means that they're good for sushi, other things. But these are absolutely fantastic raw or in a ceviche if you like that. I don't want these to cook too much. I don't want them to scald and burn it all. I want to keep them very light. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and I'm going to cover them up. Let the steam do the rest of the work. I have found that this works really well, as well as removing it from the burner, so that way you're not cooking it anymore, and it's now just steaming the rest of it, so that way it has a really nice flavor profile whenever you are eating these shrimp. Now that we've taken the shrimp, put them in a bowl, set them aside, you can see that we left the pot dirty with all the yummy morsels and everything that the shrimp have in it. So we're gonna use this when we go back and we cook the pepper and onion as well as the egg. So we're gonna add all of these things together soon, but first we need to cut up our red pepper, and we're only gonna use like half of a red pepper. As you can see, just cutting up simple, no big deal. If you have kids, teach them to become a sous chef for you and teach them the skills so that way when they go out on their own that they'll know how to cook, because a lot of kids these days don't know how to cook. When I was growing up, it was really important that we cooked. And so by the time I was 12, I was basically cooking at the house for the family. But I also grew up with a family that loves to cook. So as you can see right now, we have our onions and our peppers, and that is what we're going to put into our skillet here and cook those up. I'm also going to slice an avocado. I'm going to add a little bit of butter, not too much, because you don't want to be oversaturated with butter. If you didn't want to use butter, you can always use olive oil. If you have health issues or anything like that and butter's not your jam, then use some olive oil or some healthy alternatives to butter. I do not care for margarine because that is only one chemical away from plastic mats. I'm just going to put the peppers and the onions into here. We want to make sure that these get a little translucent, so we're going to cook these about 4 to 5 minutes. While this is cooking, I am going to take our eggs and I'm going to mix those up. So you have 6 eggs. But I typically like to use large grade A cage-free eggs. Another thing you can do too is with your eggshells, if you have a garden or anything, this is a great opportunity to cook these eggshells down in your oven. You rinse them all off, put them in the oven at 200 degrees for a couple hours, and then you grind them up and you can put them into your garden for calcium. You can also do the same thing for your dog food. If you wanted to do that and add calcium for your dogs, you can add these egg shells into the dog food as additional calcium. So as you can see, the peppers and onions, they're starting to get a little brown. So I'm going to turn this down some because I don't want it to be too much. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our eggs and I'm going to whisk those. Then I'm going to add some salt, pepper, and just a little bit of cumin. Cumin adds a nice flavor to the shrimp. I don't really like using a lot of salt because, 1, too much sodium is not good for you. And 2, I like people to be able to add their own salt content as far as what they like. So we're just going to use a little bit of cumin, nothing too much. Probably less than a teaspoon, give or take. If you're into cutting your veggies very tiny, by all means, go ahead and do that. I like a mixed match. I like to get a bite full of everything, so I don't necessarily like uniformity when it comes to certain things, unless I'm making like a tzatziki or ceviche, where I do want some smaller pieces to go with that. So I'm going to let this cook down a little bit. I'm going to mix up this cumin into the eggs, and we're just going to pour it directly into here. Then with your spatula, just mix it in together. You can smell the cumin mixed with the peppers and onions now. It's quite fragrant and delicious. As you can see, it doesn't take much for these eggs to cook. So we have the eggs here. They're pretty much done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of Colby Jack cheese, and then I'm just going to sprinkle this on top. I'm going to turn off the oven. I'm going to put the lid on and let it sit. Now that we've gotten everything prepped, done, and good to go, we're going to prep our tortillas. When I tell people that I cook my tortillas on my oven, they think I'm crazy, but I do, and they are very good and they're very tasty. I make sure the oven's cleaned off, first and foremost. You don't want any residue. And I put the temperature down to really low. So there's a low flame going on, and what I do is I just set that on there. I let that cook, and a lot of times, it becomes this really toasty flavor, unlike you have by just heating it up in the oven or in the microwave. So, but what I do is I rotate these things out. And you can see that we're actually getting some puff in here with some of these. I can smell it too, so you want to make sure that you don't burn it. And then I rotate it around quite a bit. So that way it almost gets like a fry bread look to it. You can see that? See how it puffs up? It's super tasty too. And the nice thing is, the next day they're even more delicious. So we knock out a few of these because they don't take that long. I got my tortilla warmer, which is always an important thing to have because these keep these things warm for a long period of time. Now, if you wanted to, you could put them into aluminum foil as well. If you don't have a tortilla burner, that's fine. But you do want to keep them warm so when you're assembling this entire burrito that you have some folding access to this because you want to fold a burrito correctly, right? But you can see right now how these tortillas are getting. They're puffing up. I mean, look at that. That is just to each their own, but these are delicious. Okay, now we're ready to assemble. Okay, we have our eggs, peppers, and onions with cheese mixed here. We have our avocado slices. I put a little bit of lemon on them so they won't brown, because if you add lemon and citrus to avocado, it'll keep it that bright, vibrant color. If you wanted to use any of these juices in there, you can. It's a total preference of what you like to do, but I'm a waste not, want not type of human, so I like to use everything. I've got some more cheese. I've got some sour cream. I've got some hot sauces over here. You can also put salsa. I make my own salsa. So this is a corn pepper salsa that I did back last year, and I already have a jar opened up, ready to go. So you can add as many spices as you like, but the main thing is putting it all together. So we're gonna take our tortilla shell, the one toasty little tortilla shell. We're gonna put it down. What I like to do is I like to add my sour cream first because I feel like that gives a good base as far as holding and binding everything together. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of this egg mixture right here, and I'm gonna put that right into here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of these shrimp that we made into here. I'm going to do 4 of them. And then I'm going to do an avocado slice. I'm going to add some salsa to it. You can see the corn and the tomatoes, peppers, all that other stuff in there. Then you take the burrito, roll it, and there you go. So that's it. Really that simple. So I encourage you to try this out at home. Take pictures, send them to me. Give me some feedback too. I'd like to know if you like this or not. And until next time, you've been watching another episode of Kiss with Kevin. We'll see you next month.